I'm good. Well, I like that background. Is that your actual background?
It is. It is. I have a
Damn.
problem with Funko Pops and figures,
You're a
but
collector. Am I on that shelf somewhere, do you think?
I'm sure you're on there somewhere.
Close.
Lord of the Rings for sure is
It'd
on
be
there.
it would be a terrible start to the interview if you're like, no, no, you've been
No,
in.
not a big fan, actually. No, I'm just kidding. Well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
What was it about Long Shadows that drew you to this project?
Um, I've not done a Western before, and it's a genre that is is kind of slightly slightly lost its kind of favor for some reason. I mean, there wasn't too much time gone since it was like the genre,
Mhm.
the heady days of John Wayne and then into, Clint Eastwood doing spaghetti westerns and stuff. It was kind of ruling the industry, and it just doesn't in the same way. And there's some really beautiful westerns out there. I'm a big fan of The Searchers. I'm a big fan of Ombre. I'm a big fan of 310 to Yuma. Unforgiven's probably my favorite western. My dad's a massive fan of westerns. But I mean, first and foremost, for any of these projects, it's about the script for me.
Mhm.
Like, does this script read well? Is it a script that I don't put down until it's finished, which is a good sign? And is there something in there with the character that I might not have explored before? My guy's kind of a bit of a grifter, a bit of a
Yeah.
drifter, a bit of an alcoholic. Um, it just seemed fun, Arizona, riding horses and working with Jacqueline Bisset. I was just like, yeah, I don't need much more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to know for you, like, what is it like getting into that like costume? Does it feel like you're back in time in the Old West?
Yeah, that's a big moment, especially when you're playing period characters and in period films, because if it's a modern day role and you're playing in a t-shirt like this and the same type of trousers that I've got, you need to draw on something else to
Mhm.
pull that character in that isn't just Dom. But when you're wearing a bowler hat and a cravat and a vest, which we call a waistcoat, and I'm a little bit of a dandy. I think that I'm kind of, going to be taken seriously because I wear slightly flashy clothes. All those things make it easier for you to get into character. I think I was wearing tails, like the
Yeah.
suit is kind of tails when I was on the horse, and it makes you stand in a certain way. It makes you move in a certain way. You're always looking for things to help you as an actor feel differently from the person that you're usually inhabiting, walking around in.
Yeah. I mean, you're so good in this. I was like, as soon as I saw you all like Western out, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So what was it like riding the horse? Are you a big like horse rider or are you not really?
I'm not a big horse rider by any means, but I'm a massive animal fan, and I've always felt extremely fortunate to have days where I'm working with animals.
Mhm.
I did a nature show for like 3 years, so traveling the world and working with different animals was something that I was, very excited about. Horses are obviously very sensitive animals. They pick up on your energy a lot, so you kind of have to come correctly into that situation. But it was great. I mean, the Arizonan desert is hot, obviously, but it's also stunning. It's very beautiful, the Arizonan desert. And I think there was probably like a day and a half where all I was doing was, riding through certain
Really?
places. Yeah, yeah. And they were just saying, okay, follow this route and we'll get a long shot, follow this route and we'll get a little medium shot. And um, it was really fun to be, it's a bizarre experience because we're not used to it that much. We're used to sitting in cars
Yeah.
as vehicles, but to have a living, breathing animal as a vehicle, it is quite bizarre. And obviously, we used to do it back in the day like it was nothing. But it's another dying skill. So yeah, it's a really fun days on set doing that.
I love it. I've always been too scared to ride a horse. I don't know. They're so big.
They are big, but anytime you go to a stables, if it's a stables where they'll allow you to ride a horse, they'll always have one or two horses that are just mellow, just
Yeah.
chill. They're never gonna gallop, let alone canter. they're just walking around, looking for a sugar lump. And it's worth doing. It's a really special experience. You just have to have the right mindset. If you show up nervous and you sit on a horse nervous, you
Yeah.
can make the horse nervous.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
kind of they take in that energy. So you just have to have the right energy.
I'll do it someday. It's
Do
definitely on my
it.
bucket list, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
do it.
they're so big. And I do want to talk to you about working with Jacqueline Bisset too, because you work very closely with her in this, and your scenes together are great. What was it like working opposite her?
Yeah, she was great. I remember telling my dad that I was working with Jacqueline Bisset. My dad was like, "Oh, Jacqueline Bisset," because like she was kind of it in the '60s. She was beautiful. I mean, she's still a beautiful woman. But I confess that I definitely went on to Google and had a look about what my dad was talking to me about in the 1960s, and I was like, wow, she was a genuine smoke show. And yeah, she was lovely. She was lovely. I mean, she kind of played the boss in the scenes with me.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that's ordering Ned around, telling him what to do. And I think Jacqueline and I had this little backstory that there'd been some sort of negotiation between the two of them, some sort of promise that she said, "Look, when I earn my first, $1,000 or whatever, I'll give you X amount of money, or if you help me out with this, I'll see you straight." And we had built this kind of backstory, which wasn't necessarily in the scripts. But she was lovely to work with. It was great to just kind of pick her brain about having been in the industry for so long. And she also looked fantastic. I loved her costume.
Oh my God, her costume was great.
I'm actually gonna give you two pieces of advice. First of all,
Okay,
you have to watch the extended editions. You can't watch the
agreed.
theatrical. It's just Peter Jackson was devastated that he had to cut his films down.
Oh, it's great.
Very cool, right?
And then I do want to pivot because I have to tell you, I've been watching Lost with my 12-year-old daughter. So we're on season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's obsessed with Charlie. So I'm like, this is gonna go great for her next season.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be lovely. But what does it mean to you that like this show still holds up years and years later for new generations?
Yeah, it's great that. I mean, as an actor, you should be so lucky to be involved in a project that resonates with people, even in the present time, let alone years later, people are into it. I think it having a kind of presence in a streaming format has obviously been extremely helpful. I mean, one of the things about Lost, which I think lets it continue to get watched by new generations, is it is kind of an age-old tale. It is kind of classically the good guys versus the bad guys. They kind of, I mean, at times they kind of draw a line in the sand and they're like, look, we're all on this side, you're all on that side. We all want the same thing. We all want food. We all want shelter. We all want to be safe on the island. And it's kind of a fight in that sense. So I think it's simple to understand. And a lot of the characters are kind of archetypes. You've got the good doctor, you've got the smooth talking scoundrel, you've got the drug addicted kind of good guy, but sometimes he's a bad guy. So it does fit a lot of archetypes. It was an amazing time in my life, and there was a point there for probably a good few years where you're on the biggest show in the world. You're on the
Yeah.
biggest show on planet Earth, and that's a very interesting position to be in when you've been lucky enough to be in, the biggest trilogy on the planet for 3 years running, and suddenly you find yourself on the biggest TV show. There are levels to this, and you find yourself elevated in a place where you're like, wow, I didn't even know that this level existed. I thought I'd reached it, and you
Yeah.
smash through the ceiling.
Yeah. It's so funny because I was explaining to her how we would have to like wait to see it till the next week, and she's like, what? I'm like, no, you couldn't just watch
Mhm.
these episodes back to back. It's so funny how kids don't like get
Yeah,
that. No.
it doesn't happen like that anymore. Yeah, every Wednesday, I remember I was walking around minding my own business on a Monday, Tuesday, or whatever, and I would have irate people coming over to me saying, "I can't believe I have to wait until Wednesday night to find
Yeah.
out if this person's dead or to find out if this person's gonna die or all that kind of stuff." And I'd always laugh and be like, "Yeah, yeah, that's annoying," and that was always the model of TV. There was no understanding of what streaming was going to be. I do think that the new generation miss to a certain extent that incredible time that you have as the community of fans in that 6-day period to all sit
Right.
around going, what thing's going to happen? Oh, we should do this. You come around to my house. Oh, we'll get pizza. We'll do this. Blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. It's kind of like if you like a show, you can sit and binge it in
Yeah.
10, 12 hours. and it's done. There are strengths and benefits to it. I recently watched Andor. I'd missed the first season,
Oh,
and I
it's so
thought,
good.
right, I'll watch the whole of the first season, the whole of the second season. And there are some benefits to locking yourself in your house for a weekend and going, I'm doing the entire catalogue of Andor. That is amazing. But I just wonder if television will ever reach those heights again of, Sopranos, Game of Thrones was probably the last one where it happened. Are they ever going to do something like that again? Because everything's streaming now.
I know. I loved it. It was so fun to always like go to school the next day and be like, guys, what do you think is happening?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you wait a week to find out.
Yeah, exactly. I was doing a lot of talk shows at the time when Lost was out. So I had done Kimmel a lot. I had done Ellen a lot. I had done The Tonight Show a couple of times. I'd done Conan O'Brien quite a few times. And Kimmel and Ellen and Sarah Silverman and Conan would like drop into my email inbox on a Thursday morning and be like, "What is going on with this show?" And I was like, "This is crazy that these people are emailing me." But they were fans. You just never realize who is going to be a fan,
Yeah.
of work that you do. And like I said, as an actor, I've been incredibly fortunate over the years to be involved in some big projects. And as an actor, you dream of being involved in one that people
Yeah.
talk about when it's on, let alone being involved in several where people consistently continue to talk about it and the legend kind of builds.
Yeah. I mean, Lord of the Rings is next for us. I think maybe she's like 13, 14. I feel like I don't want to like to be too slow, not slow, but hold her attention because they're so long.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Yes, please do.
I'm actually going to give you two pieces of advice. First of all,
Okay.
you have to watch the extended editions. You can't watch the
Agree.
theatrical. It's just Peter Jackson was devastated that he had to cut his films down to
I'm
less
sure.
than 2 hours so that they could get an extra showing in the cinema. And he was always saying to us and to anyone listening moving forward, as soon as the extended versions were out, he was just like, just throw away the theatrical releases. They don't mean anything. So it has to be the extended releases. But this would be my piece of advice for you and your daughter, which I say to a lot of friends who might not have seen Lord of the Rings. I say, listen, just put it on for an hour. Put it on for an hour and 20 minutes. Have your dinner. Put it on. And when you get towards the end of an hour and 10 or an hour and 20, and you look over at your daughter and she might be starting to reach for a phone or she's fidgeting or something, you say, listen, we're going to put this on a soft pause and we're going to watch this tomorrow night for another hour. And you can watch those films in, I think, nice segments of maybe three. So instead of watching three films back to back, what you do is you
Yeah.
watch each film and you break it up into three. So now you're getting 9 little sections over the course of like 10 days, 2 weeks. And it's a lovely way to watch it like that.
Yeah, that's a good advice. I think we will try that. So,
Doesn't feel
yeah.
intimidating.
I know. I know. I'm just like, oh, they're so long. I don't want her to get bored because it's so good. I worry that she'll start to miss stuff, but that's a great way to pivot that.
As soon as you look over at your daughter, because you know your daughter, as soon as you
Yeah,
look over
yeah.
and you're like, she's just starting to come down the other side of interest, just say to her, we're going to pause this. And the next time you're really into watching it, we'll stick it on again for another hour and 10. And then she'll love it like that.
Perfect. Yay. Well, I'm going to do that. I'm excited to watch it with her because those are some of my favorite movies too.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Gosh.
And I will die on the hill that Charlie should not have died. And I'm still so mad about it. I know.
I think it turned into one of the great TV deaths. So
It
we
did.
did something right.
It was epic. No, I agree. I was just very devastated. I was like,
What are
"No,
you
Charlie."
what are you gonna do when you sit with your daughter coming towards the end of
She's
season
gonna
3?
lose it.
And
She's
she's gonna be
lose
like,
it.
well, he's not gonna die, right? He's not gonna die because they keep
I
saying he's
know.
gonna die. He's not gonna die, and then you have to watch him.
I know. She's very sensitive like me. She will cry. It is gonna be a whole.
Good.
I'm gonna have snacks ready for her after I'll be like, okay,
Good.
here we go. It's
Good.
gonna be time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Tessa.
it. Bye.
Take
Have a good
care.
one.
Bye. Bye. Bye.